All right, today we're diving into a topic that, let's be honest, hits close to home for pretty much all of us: the global housing market. We're calling this explainer Real Estate 2026 The Great Squeeze. And yeah, as that name suggests, it's a story all about pressure, about scarcity, and that universal search for a place to call home. So let's start with the big question, the one that probably keeps a lot of people up at night, whether you're in Miami or Jerusalem. Why? Why, in an age of so much progress, does finding a decent, affordable home feel harder than it's ever been? Let's get into it. To really get a grip on what's happening globally, we're going to look at two completely different markets. On one hand, you've got the USA, where the market is pumping the brakes after a massive building spree. And on the other hand, you have Israel, which is in a frantic race to build more and faster to keep up with huge demand. Two totally different situations, but both show just how intense this great squeeze really is. So first up, let's head over to the US. For the last few years, construction has been red hot, especially in what we call multifamily housing. You know, apartment buildings, condos, that kind of thing. But now that whole scene is cooling down a lot. It's not a crash, but it's a really big strategic shift. And when I say big, I mean big. Look at this number. Between 2023 and 2025, new apartment construction is expected to drop by a whopping 40%. A change that drastic is going to send ripples through the rental market for years. So what's putting the brakes on everything? Well, it's basically a perfect storm of economic headwinds. The cost of materials is still sky high, the interest rates to get these huge projects financed are up there, and in a lot of those popular Sunbelt markets, people are starting to worry, did we just build too much too fast? And listen, this isn't just a quick blip on the radar. As a chief economist from a recent PwC report put it, the whole supply and demand situation is going to be disappointing for the next few years. So anyone hoping for a huge comeback might have to wait a while. This is a real fundamental shift. This new reality on the ground is forcing everybody to change their game plan. For the property managers, the developers, it's not about rapid, grow-at-all-costs expansion anymore. The new name of the game is stability and just building a sustainable business. And this quote from a property management leader, Dave Gorham, just nails it. He says they're focused on quality over quantity. You know, instead of just grabbing every client they can, they're taking their time to find the right partners who are in it for the long haul. Okay, now let's jump across the globe to Israel, where the story is completely different. The problem here isn't a slowdown. It's an intense, high-stakes race against the clock to build enough housing for a population that's growing incredibly fast. This chart really shows you how high those stakes are. Look at how much of Israel's GDP, its entire economic output, comes from building homes. It's a way bigger slice of the pie compared to the average for other developed nations in the OECD. In Israel, building homes isn't just an industry, it's a vital engine for the whole country's economy. But even with all that urgency, the roadblocks are massive. Israel is dealing with the same spike in material costs that everyone else is. They have a constant shortage of skilled construction workers. And on top of all that, they have a notoriously complicated and slow process for just getting a permit to build anything. So the response has to be just as big. Israel is pouring money into massive infrastructure projects. We're talking new rail lines, highways, and incredible structures like this bridge in Jerusalem. The goal here is to connect the country in new ways and, crucially, to open up brand new areas for housing development to take some pressure off those crowded cities. So, okay, we've got these two very different markets, both under some serious pressure. Which brings us to the really important question. How is everybody, from individual homebuyers to entire governments, adapting their strategies to deal with this new reality? Let's bring this right down to you. If you're in the US and you're thinking about buying a new home right now, this whole slowdown creates some new challenges, but also some new opportunities. So how do you get through it with confidence? It's really that classic trade-off, isn't it? If you buy early in a new development, you'll probably get a better price, maybe a better lot, but you're also signing up for years of construction noise and a lot of uncertainty. If you wait and buy late, the community is already built, it's peaceful, but you're going to pay more and have fewer options. It really just comes down to what you can handle. Chaos now for a better price, or peace later for a bigger price tag.
Look, in this kind of market, knowledge is absolutely your best weapon. You have to ask the tough questions. Before you even think about signing anything, get total clarity on the pricing. Make sure the construction timelines are actually realistic. And you should definitely be asking what kind of incentives the builder can offer. The bottom line is, you've got to negotiate smarter and stronger.
Of course, at the end of the day, our individual choices can only go so far. These are huge, systemic problems, and they demand big, bold solutions from the very top.
And for that housing crunch in Israel, the OECD has basically laid out a roadmap. Their recommendations hit all the key problems. Streamline the permit process so you can build faster, reform property taxes to actually encourage more home building, and rethink policies on foreign workers to fix the labor shortage. It's a full court press for a really complex problem.
And there's another huge force that's changing the game: demographics. One of the biggest trends we're seeing pop up is something called integrated senior living. And no, these are not your grandparents' old retirement homes. These are brand new communities built from the ground up to combine comfortable housing with healthcare, wellness stuff, and social spaces, all designed for a population that's aging fast.
So, when you put this all together, what does it really mean for the future of home? It's clear that from the US to Israel and everywhere in between, we're in this moment of deep rethinking about what a home is, where we live, and how we provide it for everyone. The Great Squeeze is forcing change at every single level. You see it in the tough questions homebuyers are asking. You see it in that quality over quantity mindset from businesses. And you see it in the huge policy changes that governments are making. The very idea of home is being remade right in front of us. And that leaves us with one final and really important question to think about. In a world that is always changing, our economies, our climate, our families, what are we going to need from our homes tomorrow? How will they need to adapt to keep us safe, healthy, and connected? The answers are still being built.